Well, hello and welcome. I'm Sue Britz,
And I'm Tina Lokkbakk. Welcome to Retired.
the podcast where we talk about what life is like when we put on new tread, new wheels that move us to our next adventure.
So, Sue, we talked about our topic today. I don't want to do a spoiler alert. I'm going to just jump in with something that will tie into our topic. And I don't know, we'll just let the listeners make connections instead of giving the topic right away.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Sounds great.
Okay. So this is a chapter from my memoir. And I really don't know why I included it, but it's something I felt so strongly about. And it applies to today's topic. So chapter 18, Two Turtles. My ex was a science teacher, and for whatever reason, students would offload their former pets onto us, like a baton in the last leg of a relay race. In addition, Warren would seek out even more living creatures to liven up the classroom and create student interest. Multiple family pilgrimages and dollars were spent over the years finding the right animals, enclosures, or food, like frozen mice and smelly crickets, all in the name of science. Warren's mini menagerie included the likes of a bearded dragon, turtles, snakes, octopi, and walking sticks, to name a few. I've told this story to numerous people, and to this day I hold firm on my beliefs. The bearded dragon who came on board to live in my husband's classroom is the life that haunts me the most. Unlike any other insect or animal we had acquired, I just knew this one, that her life sucked. We named her Nancy. I don't know why, maybe she came with that name. So blessed, or rather cursed, Nancy came into our lives. Initially, she stayed in our home, probably because Marie loved animals and she wanted her to stay, or it just happened that she did stay. Honestly, I can't quite remember. What I do remember was Nancy's first terrifying hiss when she stood in the grass in our backyard while we were preparing her new home. That hiss taught me a lot. She was scary. I had no nurturing desire to coddle her and kiss her like I would our pet dogs, cats, chickens, and rats. Yet she fascinated me. She made my hair stand up on end, not because of her possible impending physical attack should I step any closer to her. No, it was her deep, unwavering stare that sent chills all over me. It was as if she read my soul, like she knew I was behaving like a bystander, complicit in this crime that was about to be committed. Incarceration for life. Going back in time, Warren went through a tarantula phase. He wanted one, and he got one. As luck would have it, my husband developed an allergic reaction to the spider's hairs. Small bumps would appear on his hands and forearms, which increased in number the more handling the little guy got. Needless to say, said spider was no longer an object of focus. This was my first affecting experience with a caged being. I felt sorry for that spider. Every day that I walked by him or cleaned around his little glass hovel for a home, I became racked with guilt. I worried about how long it had been since his cage was cleaned or he'd been fed. While at the same time, I didn't want to become responsible for him. I really was in no way wanting a pet tarantula. As the months passed, I finally asked Warren if he could give it away to someone who would actually love this creature. We could give it back to the store to resell to someone else. Maybe this could be someone's destined soul pet. Every time I asked, I was met with a simple no. No, no, no. Until one day at Petco, I asked the friendly store employee working in the reptile section if either he or someone he knew would like to have a tarantula and a tarantula cage and all that comes with it. I chose the right person to ask, and within a few days, Mr. Tarantula left our residence. I felt relieved. I did the best I could for that life. Nancy, like many of the other classroom pets, did not find such good fortune. They simply lived out their lives in cages or aquariums. There was a continuous revolving door between life and death at our home and in his classroom. Each death left an empty cage or aquarium to be filled until the next incarcerated being stepped up to the plate. I became just a little bit sadder with every passing. I realized that this was clearly my issue in the family and no one else's. My greatest strength was also my greatest weakness, empathy. I stood in their shoes, or rather, put myself in their skins. What would it be like to stare out at the same thing day after day? No food to seek out, instead food just plopped down from above on occasion. No predators to hide from at least, but also no new places to explore. Direct sunlight and fresh air were enjoyed periodically when the cages were changed. The little captives were permitted to roam outside, while the kids and I stood by like guards to be sure our prisoners wouldn't escape their way into freedom. I wasn't as tormented when the science pets were in my husband's classroom. The girls and I would come to visit him there a couple of times a week, and our visits wouldn't last too long. But summers were an entirely different matter. They lived without stimulation in a small room, shaped like a pie, sealed off from us and natural sunlight. One summer, I couldn't take it anymore. I felt I had to rise and fight for the turtles. We had a perfectly good pond in the backyard with plants, flowers, rocks, dragonflies, and a harmless pet Labrador retriever. My platform was, wouldn't it be better to live 2 incredible months or years in freedom with the sun on your back, in this case shell, living life the way a turtle should live? Finally, possibly due to the lack of desire to continuously feed and change the large tank's water, or because of my persistence, those turtles did get to end their incarceration. I loved walking back to the pond to hear the plop, plop, plop as they dove back into the water to hide under the lily pads, whilst the threat of the humans or hairy beast dog encroaching on their territory subsided. Within our home, I referred to the turtles multiple times as examples of what it meant to live. In my mind, it was better to venture out into the world and experience it fully rather than remain living inside a glass cage with all your needs met. Life is scary. There are no guarantees. Yes, we need to be careful and not get too risky with our mortality, but we shouldn't live worrying about all the frightening things that could happen. Based on my own experience, bad things have happened, but it has never been the situation I assumed it would be. Nearly always, the catastrophic event comes barreling clear out of left field and was never quite as tragic as I imagined it would be. In fact, there have been few catastrophes, only problems I could not have prevented in the first place, and of those I have survived them. The turtles died after having lived 2 magical natural years in our backyard pond. They tasted freedom. Unfortunately, a turtle shell was eventually discovered a few yards away from the pond, and then another a few months later. Marie was none too happy and made it clear that this was my fault. Due to my persuasion, they were murdered by some raccoon or hawk in search of a tasty meal. In her mind, they should have remained in their cage, looking at the same 4 classroom walls year after year, with the exception of occasional cleanings, up until their last and final breaths. Indeed, they would have lived longer, but would they have really lived? Nancy died after our divorce in the classroom, never having left her cage to experience freedom. Those dark, penetrating eyes are what I will always remember. So I'm going to start with another example of this. My neighbors have indoor cats, and I can tell, feel very strongly that I am an irresponsible cat owner because my cat comes in and out and roams freely. And this now ties into the whole topic. Sue, quantity of life or quality of life?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I think it depends on the individual. I really do. And it could be, it's the same thing as the philosophy of the cat owner you're describing and the cat itself, too. You know, because some cats might choose to stay indoors because they're afraid and they want to be in. Others are at the door trying to escape at any moment and may come back or not and go visit other households or whatever it might be. Um, I think you have to decide as an owner of a pet what you're looking for and then look for that. This is it brings the whole idea of ownership of animals and our responsibility to them. I think, I mean, yeah, that's a tough one because how do you know if an animal wants to be out and about and can survive? And if they, for example, let me just go with this one.
Okay.
I was traveling. I was in Arizona recently, and we've got my brother and sister-in-law have a pair of beautiful little toy poodles, and if you were to leave them outdoors, even for 5 minutes or even less, they could easily be snatched up by a coyote or a hawk, or be attacked by a little javelina. most likely it would be the coyote. And the coyotes are there and they're watching and they're hoping and they know those animals are there. In fact, they lost one of their poodles because the coyote got it. So obviously the dogs didn't want to be, attacked by a coyote and killed that way. They love their people. But of course, they also like to go outside and hunt for lizards and be outside in the sun, like you say, and take a sun bath and all that. So there's a balance there that, as pet owners, you have a responsibility to them to give them their best life and to kind of listen to them, if you will. If they like I can tell when my dog needs a walk and you got to go give that dog a walk. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. What do you think?
I have so many thoughts
Well,
on
I know
that.
what you think. I'm sorry. We heard your lovely story and we didn't even,
Exactly.
I know what you think. So yeah.
But I think that what I would like to say in support of what you said, like I have had indoor cats, but they were the fluffy, they were Himalayan Persian cats, which the instinct to survive is truly bred out of them. Their
Yeah.
sole purpose, they have like three brain cells, and one is to keep the heart going, one is to keep the lungs going, and the other one is to just eat and eliminate. And that's it. That's all the instinct there is in there. And then they just lay like lumps. So that was not a smart cat. The one I have now was born out in the wilds of nature, and he was given away with his siblings in the middle of a parking lot at Trader Joe's. And he's such a wild hunter, predator. He's just wild.
It could have been
And
a feral
so,
cat too. I
yeah.
mean, yeah.
And I'm sure his parents were feral. And so I think you're right. It really depends on the personality. So I guess I've done it both ways, but I didn't necessarily not allow my cat to go outside. It's just even if I left the door open, the cat didn't really want to go, like you said. So I think you do have to base it on a little bit of their personality type. So that was a good point to bring up, and I thank you for that reminder.
Well, and that brings up the question, is wildness or or the fears of the world, is that bred? Is a wildness bred out of us? Or is the fear of the world bred into us now? I
I
mean,
think the fear of the world is bred into us, if I had to say.
so is it breeding or is it our society's changing and nurture or nature, that question. You know, what this brings us to, what are these examples you've given us about pets? What is
Hmm.
that? What is the example that it gives us as humans? I love that it is a conversation piece and it's something to talk about, and it's a great one to talk about with kids because they can look at it, see it, examine it, and then maybe apply it to their own lives.
So this is kind of, it's all in the same vein, and it's what I'm currently struggling with right now. So I was telling you this morning, which is how we kind of came up with this topic. So all of a sudden, Gigi is displaying some signs of the hips going out, and she's 8.5, and she's been walking every day. And so Maria, who's still in Cuba, who's a veterinarian, I called her and she said, it's time to stop throwing the ball because she loves when we go on walks. She actually jumps and bites my arm, not in a scary way, but like to bite it because she wants me to, it's her way of saying, throw me the ball because I want to chase it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always throw it and then she goes scrambling down the street, whether there's ice, snow, plain street, rain, whatever. And she goes scrambling after this ball. And it gives her so much joy. And now I did it one more time this week and realized I can't. It because this is the hard part. So you were talking about personality of animal. Can I'm assuming that instinctually she should know if she is capable of chasing after that ball or not. And if she can't, then she won't. But I also know that maybe she can't make that distinction because this last walk, I think her last big long walk, to the mountains, she couldn't keep up, but she wanted to. So she pushed through it. But I could see by the end that it was painful and her tail just showed it all. So is it the same thing where she wants to, again, doesn't have the judgment for herself to determine what is safe for her or not? And that's where I have to step up as a human. And now I have to decide quality versus quantity. So that means, do I throw the ball ever again, even though it's her favorite thing, or not? And it's kind of on our responsibility. So do I give her more of what she wants, or do I think ahead of what will extend her ability to live?
It is, when you look at an animal, you have to does it add to their life or does it take away too much? So I have the
Mm.
same thing with my greyhound. She's a lovely dog. She's 12, coming up on 12.
Wow.
Um, and she, which is getting close to the end of a lifetime for a rescued greyhound who's been on the track and gone through her
I
own,
think it's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, she's got the documented collision and the scars that show that she's been on the track. So that's why she got off the track. But anyhow, she always loves her walk. She is just doesn't have a care in the world about her own physical feelings. She'll race to the door, thrash around, and as soon as you open the door and she's out, she's, oh, okay, I'm outside, and it's all calm. She must have been a good starter in when
That's what
she
I
was a
was
racer.
thinking.
But her tail end, ever since we've had her
Oh,
tail end kind of is kind of janky, and now it falls, and she's constantly, those back legs are falling. And on a greyhound with those long sticky legs, that you don't want that happening. They can break things, and that would be torturous. But so
when you
it
say she falls, does she go completely down or is it a stumble?
the back end falls.
The whole goes straight down.
The back end, yeah.
Yeah.
And so when we go out for the walks, they're not. I don't call them walks anymore. I call them sniffs, or smells,
Oh,
because,
it's
well, it's interesting because
you're right.
greyhounds are sight hounds, and they're not big into the smelling. They're into seeing things and reacting to it. And she was always very reactive to squirrels and birds and any kind of movement. Cats. Oh, she loved looking at the cats. But now it's about, I'm going to go smell the news in the neighborhood. And so the walk is now, it went from over a mile to three-quarters of a mile, a half mile, quarter mile. It's getting less and less, but I'm kind of taking her lead, and I'm seeing, if I see later on how if she's too worn out, now I realize I got to go. Even though she might want to go a little longer, I'm going to bring it in because it's going to give her a better outcome for the rest of the day. So
True.
really trying to be observant about that. And, thank goodness I'm retired and I have the time to make those observations. It's wonderful to take the time, and instead of hurrying the dog through it, she just goes out and
Right.
just smells and takes her time, and you figure you just kind of just go with it rather than hurry up. I'm on a schedule.
Yep.
I need to go. So that's a blessing. But it's the same thing with throwing things. Maybe you don't throw the ball, but maybe you got the ball and you roll it to her, or so she's still cognitively, oh, I've got this. When we think of animals in an anthropomorphic way, we may be doing a disservice, but also at the same time, we're just kind of using our common sense, and so, uh, if you give them the things that that they enjoy, that's quality of life. If they're breathing and they're not in pain, and they have that quality time with their family, then that's quality of life. That poor uh, bearded lizard, was it, in the
Yeah.
Nancy,
Nancy.
didn't have quality of life. You know, yeah, like you say, she would have
Lived
probably
alone in the
preferred,
sterile cage.
right, and would have preferred to be hunting, her own food, or hiding. The only stimulation she had was looking out there and seeing students walk by who maybe would tap on the aquarium. Horrible, which would not have been nice. That would have been scary as heck. But yeah. So to honor that, even animals like a lizard uh, have that quality of life. It is, when we choose to take the responsibility of a pet, we need to really take the time and slow down and think about um, their quality of life as well. And so quality of life is important.
I want to say thank you, what you did and didn't even realize you were doing. So I just enjoy you.
What's
Um,
that? What do you mean?
you made me stop and think that even though I've just been focusing on the grieving, that I can't go on my nature walks with my other half.
Yeah.
So sad that I have to do it alone. And but that doesn't mean her quality of life, you're right, it hasn't come to an end, because she's still at my side and we're still snuggling
Hmm.
and we'll still go on walks. And I love how you changed it from because I'm like, now she's confined to my neighborhood. But you're right, if I look at it as the daily sniff, because there is so much even within this block that she can enjoy. It's just that I have to slow it down, and now it's a walk about her.
Right.
And so I take her on her walk, and then I'll do my power walk in the forest.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
just
it is. It's also so. It's a question, not even a question of quality and quantity, but rather the circle of life. I mean, we're all going to get old, hopefully, because the
I
alternative
already
is not
feel it in
to.
my bones,
Yeah.
literally.
And so we're not going to be able to do all the things that we used to do. Like that's even happening now. Eat what we used to eat, and
True.
climb the ladder and be secure on that ladder, and all those things. So you've got to you don't have to make your world so small that there's no quality there. You keep your
Yeah.
world as
It's just different.
yeah, and you acknowledge the the what it is you prioritize, maybe, and acknowledge what it is that brings you that quality in life. And up until the very end, I mean, that's what we have to do.
Yeah. And I think what she wants most out of life is just love and being next to me, So
Yeah.
that's something I have plenty of time to do.
Well, and this is the other thing, is that so often in our society we don't talk about these things, and the we can have this conversation again with regard to humans, because you're people have it about their pets. You fight and fight and fight and fight to keep this animal alive, and hello, maybe it's not the right thing for the animal. Is it about the animal or is it about you? And
Right.
this thing of trying to defy death, it's not real, because that's the only thing we know for sure. And it shouldn't be so taboo to talk about that. The more you talk about it, the
Thank you,
more you
so. Yeah.
understand it for yourself and for your loved ones. You gotta, it's the circle of life. The circle of life. No. That song, I tell you, it reminds me of my daughter every single time. She grew up with
Oh,
that.
so
So, yeah.
true.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen your postings with Gigi in them in the walk. And she obviously loves that, but she's smelling the same air, and yeah, so it's about her. It's her. And that's the other cool thing, is if you think about like end of life stuff, um, it shifts from, oh, we're living this life together, you're doing your thing, to now this is how you honor that being, whether it's your pet or your loved one, your family, your loved one. You shift it to what gives that quality to this ending. And that sacredness of the ending is so important too, as it's, like we say, the only thing you know. So to honor that, it's honor it before they're gone. You honor it now. So that's the thing I would say.
I have this vision, because the one thing I can do, but I have to buy a ladder, I think, to get her up into the Jeep. But her favorite place up here is going to the lake. Best. And it makes sense because there's no big stones. There's all the sand along the water. So it's soft, it's moist. She can drink when she wants. There's ducks to look at. And, now it'll be just maybe we go and we have a gentle little walk straight down to the water and we hang out there for a while, instead of me trying to aerobically get my heart rate up and get that step in. And you're right, it's about slowing down. It's it's about appreciating it. Thank you. Again, you kind of just gave me this warm feeling, like it's just a change, but that doesn't mean it's even a bad change. It's just a change.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So, Sue, as I'm watching these changes in her, I've always called her my avatar because we're so one and the same personality wise. And I've been thinking about, as she's getting stiffer, like my shoulder is now popping. It hurts. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, okay, gotta move it. Like, it's becoming harder. And looking at her, it has also made me look at myself. And, because I've been teasing, like, because we're both these middle-aged women, although I think she's progressive, right? If it's 7 years to every one human life, this past year has been a really fast 7 years for her.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's just been a year. But it's really brought my own awareness to my body shifting, making gravity changes, stiffness changes, muscle changes, stomach changes.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have been as aware, but I'm looking at it through her. Like, even her tail used to be this beautiful, smooth, gorgeous thing. And now every little vertebra, every little nodule is showing on her tail. Like, I could tell you how many she's got in her tail.
Interesting.
And
yeah.
that's shifted and was never like that before.
Yeah.
And as I look at my body, it's like, ooh, that wasn't there before. Like, it's been kind of
Yep.
an interesting reflection of the circle of life, except by taking it from the outside, looking at her, it's brought it to my awareness of me, where I
Yeah.
don't know that I would have been as aware of me. I would have ignored me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because I'm looking at her, thinking about our limited time together, I'm starting to think about my limited time myself.
Yeah.
And that each day is really a blessing, because it doesn't matter that we're getting older in some ways, because it's a miracle each day we wake up alive and we live it without getting killed. I mean,
Well, and that's what I'm saying, having these conversations is so important because it slows us down to help us not only with the animal that we care about in this case, but also our own selves, our reflection. And those are things that the conversations and thoughts we should be having so that we manage those things mindfully and not just like go through the motions or ignore things that are truths. We need to acknowledge, slow down and make it part of the daily experience. Thanks for listening. Now let's pack up this week's episode in the trunk.
ride shotgun and be a part of our adventure by clicking on the plus sign to subscribe and follow our show. This will help our ratings and, more importantly, inspire us to keep creating fun and engaging content. We would love to hear from you in the comments sections or email us at retiredpodcastnewtread@gmail.com. Use the fast track lane by sharing episodes with friends, family, and anyone who would like to join us on a road trip through retirement.
Be sure to check the show notes for links and contact information. Retired is chauffeured by Sue Britz and Tina Lokkbakk. It is produced, directed, and edited by me, Sue Britz. Music and graphics are by me too. Buckle up and tune in next week so that you won't miss your chance to join our retired road trip.